OwenJames' Strictly Business is brought to you by Sagicor, Wise Financial Thinking for Life, and Jampro, working for Jamaica, working for you. Jamaica's investment promotions agency, Jampro, means business. Jampro's mission is to promote brand Jamaica, attract and facilitate wealth-creating investments to Jamaica, and secure lucrative markets for quality brand Jamaica products. Jampro, working for Jamaica, working for you.
Promise?
There is a place.
I promise.
Where promises are always kept. At Sagicor,
Pinky promise.
we provide financial security.
I did it.
For you and your loved ones.
Yes!
By maintaining your Sagicor policy, you can keep those promises.
Blessed.
No matter what life throws your way.
We're covered with Sagicor for life.
Are you covered?
Welcome to Strictly Business, a program that goes into the hearts of businesses. No frills, no razzmatazz, it's strictly business. My guest today is Gary Matalon, the CEO of Tracks and Records, a growing entertainment entity. Gary, welcome to Strictly Business.
Thank you, Owen.
Now, there's a proliferation of night spots throughout Kingston. What it is that makes your business, the fiction setup, the Tracks and Record, so distinguished and doing fairly well in an economy which is not doing well, and the nightclub sector in general is not doing well, but you seem to be doing well. How so?
Sure. Well, what we have done is we've spent a lot of effort and energy on developing the brands and carving out the markets that we wanted to target. We invested heavily into our human resources, into our just overall defining our processes, defining our business model, and ensuring that we could execute on the vision that we had. Mm-hmm. For both the nightclub and the Tracks and Records concept, we have done a lot of planning and spent a lot of time really defining what those brands are and differentiating them and tailoring them to the markets that we identified.
What is the central theme behind your branding? Because it seems to be the hip thing among the young people, the upwardly mobile young persons I know, that they are going to fiction nightclub to relax and so on. What's the marketing concept behind it, and how do you manage to capture that group?
With regards to fiction, we speak directly to our market. We've identified what was needed in the market. We identified the group that we wanted to speak to specifically, and we created a product that satisfied their needs. In addition to that, we looked to ensure that the communications were effective. We used a lot of social media to get to them, and we ensured that the offering was going to deliver
what you promised.
Client. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the whole concept of marketing was important. In fact, you tested the market before you launched the product.
Well, in large part, we are the market. You know, we, the group of us that came together to develop the brand.
You represented that demographic.
Absolutely.
That you were trying to appeal to.
In a big way.
Yeah.
So, to a large extent, we felt that we were very comfortable that the openings, the opportunity was there. We didn't do a whole lot of market research or any kind of formal analysis. A lot of it was intuition, and the reality was it's not an enormous undertaking, the initial concept, and we felt that it was manageable, and we felt very strongly that this innovation was going to work, and we pursued it.
And of course, you had a group of young persons who had a belief that it would work, and had the belief that they could attract that demographics that they themselves represented.
Correct.
Right. Good.
Without
Tracks and Records and the Usain Bolt Tracks and Record, a subsidiary of Kingston Live Entertainment. What's the situation with the Usain Bolt part of it? I saw a newspaper headline that said something else, that indicated some bitterness in what took place. For the benefit of our viewers, tell us what happened with that exercise.
Sure.
Because it was launched with much fanfare. I was there, interviewed Bolt and met you and your wife and so on. What's with that business arrangement now with Usain Bolt?
I'm glad you mentioned that. The Usain Bolt's Tracks and Records opened in April last year and continues to this day to trade as Usain Bolt's Tracks and Records. There's been absolutely no change with respect to the business model and the facility itself. All that happened was there was a legal restructuring exercise that took place to prepare us for future financing opportunities that we were pursuing, and that entailed a shift in the ownership and the assets of Usain Bolt's Tracks and Records Limited into KLE Group Limited. So the same thing happened on the other side with Fiction Lounge Limited into KLE Group Limited. But I guess it was felt that there was more of a story there than there may have been. But the reality is there's absolutely no change with the business and our relationship with Usain. In fact, I spent about 3 hours in a meeting yesterday with the team, and we continue to have a great business relationship.
So the business relationship continues. That's
absolutely
what you're communicating.
Without a doubt.
The concept of aligning a product, a business with a celebrity is nothing new, but how is it working out for KLE?
It's working out great. The idea behind the Tracks and Records brand is really about Brand Jamaica, and we set out to create a product that we could package the best, what we felt was the best of Brand Jamaica, and that had to do with the athletes, the music, the culture, the food, and just the overall vibe. And the intention was to package that in such a way that we could replicate it in other locations as well as offshore, to export it into other countries.
No, the technology you use, really high-tech technology in your facility. Tell us about that.
Sure. When we were doing our planning and due diligence in the early stages, the group of directors, 6 of us, went to Las Vegas to a trade show. We were looking for what we call the X factor. We were trying to see what was going to differentiate us. We wanted to. The idea was to open an entertainment facility. It wasn't about opening a restaurant or a bar. And in order to do that, we realized there were certain elements that we would need to identify that would set us apart. We found a company at the Vegas show called T1 Visions out of North Carolina, whose technology was leaps and bounds above everybody else's. And we after a good bit of research, we retained them to come in and consult with us on all our audio, video, and our technology offerings in there. The interactive touch tables that exist in Tracks and Records are the only of its kind in the region. Wow. And I tell you, even in North America, there are not very many. It's relatively new technology, although it's based off of computers, which we know is not necessarily new technology, but it's very clever what they have done.
Now, you alluded to two locations, of course, Marketplace along Constant Spring Road in Kingston and Falmouth. What's the thinking behind that kind of expansion?
The thinking is way beyond two locations. Initially, the focus was on getting the first one right. We wanted to really ensure that we define the business model, that we work through all of the kinks and essentially get it right. We've done that. We've stuck to that strategy, and ultimately are at the point now where we're looking to have a controlled rollout. The second location we've identified as being on the north coast of Jamaica, but simultaneously we are in discussions with people offshore as well, in North America as well as in Europe. So the idea is, you know, although we want to move aggressively, we want to be smart about it. We don't want to get ourselves in over our heads. So we're engaging the best of consultants and professionals, as well as doing the research necessary.
Yeah. Now, Falmouth, what was this strategic thinking behind Falmouth? Is it because of the cruise ship, the mega cruise ship facility there and the synergies that could emanate from that? What's it?
Absolutely. I mean, the cruise ship business that has been brought to Falmouth certainly increases the level of traffic that you get through that area from time to time. It's also very close proximity to Montego Bay. There are a lot of great things about Falmouth that a lot of people don't know, because ultimately there's not ever really been a developed infrastructure to really support any kind of throughput. But with the port down there now, and we're going into the area, it's a bold move in the sense that you're kind of a first mover, but at the end of the day.
And your product with its high-tech outlook and newness would is a natural fit for that kind of international and clientele, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We go for a break now, folks, and of course my guest is Gary Matalon, the CEO of Kingston Live Entertainment, KLE. Very, very, very brave entrepreneurial venture. Now, when we talk, remember, it's strictly business.
OwenJames' Strictly Business was brought to you by Sagicor, Wise Financial Thinking for Life, and Jampro, working for Jamaica, working for you.
Welcome back to Strictly Business as we continue to look at tracks and records with Gary Matalon, the CEO. Gary, welcome again.
Thank you.
Now, how well is the Marketplace location doing?
The Marketplace location is doing extremely well. It's our flagship location, and we established it, as I said before, as the unit to define the model to a large extent, and we have put a great focus on stabilizing the operations, standardizing all of our processes, and getting it right. It's doing exceptionally well. It's a large facility for the Kingston market alone, and we knew that going into it, and have really kind of tried to push it out there to get the visitors that do come to Kingston, which is significant amount of people, to come in and visit the location. We're now having tour buses coming through there, and it's really evolving into the attraction that we set out to establish.
And you're hoping to replicate that prototype in Falmouth, that successful prototype, eh?
Absolutely. There will be adjustments to the model based on the needs of the market that exists there. the Falmouth market we're expecting is going to be skewed a lot more to visitors as opposed to locals, whereas the Kingston market, our customer base is predominantly locals. So it definitely is going to be a slightly different model, but we will maintain the key brand points that that we have established. Absolutely.
Lest there be any misunderstanding, some persons are wont to deliberately misunderstand things. You say the Falmouth model will be skewed towards visitors. You're not excluding locals.
Absolutely not. And the reality is, when I say skewed towards visitors, I mean with regards to the food and beverage offering versus the merchandise offering. If you notice, the space that we have allocated for merchandise in the Kingston model is 200 square feet, whereas the Falmouth model maybe 2,000 square feet. A lot of the market that we cater to locally, the business traveler, they're not necessarily looking to shop for souvenirs, although they do, and we do offer that.
But the expectation is that in Falmouth there'll be more demand for souvenirs and so on. Absolutely. Because of the cruise ship passengers.
For sure.
So on. Thank you very much for that clarification. Well needed too. Now, you're eyeing the junior market. What's guiding that decision?
We identified the junior market as a fantastic means to finance the growth and development of the business. It's really set up for us and for what we're trying to do.
And to encourage entrepreneurship, eh?
For sure, for sure. It's a great opportunity for us to be able to access the financing that we need to do what we want to do.
And how optimistic are you that your investors will take up your IPO?
We're very optimistic. We're very optimistic. We feel that we have a great business. We have set up a great business, and outside of our brands and the strength of our brands at this stage of the game, we have a lot. We have a lot of plans. We, as an organization, I feel we're of the best. Not just locally, but we have a business infrastructure in place that can execute, and as we continue to grow and develop, we will continue to maintain the high standards that we've set out with initially.
The experiences of those listed on the market, their experiences have been good. The Lasco, the Dolphin Cove, Access Financial, and those companies. What is your expectation? What are your expectations rather beyond listing? I know you can't say much at this point, but certainly, what are your expectations after a possibly successful listing?
Well, as I say, ultimately the driver for the listing is to raise the money to be able to continue our plans going forward. Beyond that, the focus is going to be on increasing the shareholders' value and continue to execute our vision and against our strategy. So that's really what it's all about.
Spoken like a true entrepreneur, Gary Matalon. Now, when we come back, we look at feature story. Stay with us. When we talk, it's strictly business. Welcome back to Strictly Business, and it's our feature story time. Gary, they say behind every successful man is a woman, but in your case, I think a successful man has a woman beside him. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Now, what part does your wife, Tina, play in all of this? I know Tina is a very gifted marketer. How do you work the synergies associated with that husband and wife partnership?
Well, we have very complementary skills. My skill sets really are around operational type stuff, you know, structure and process and getting it done. She's very creative and understands marketing and communication. So we have very complementary skill sets.
What was her reaction when my producer called to say that I wanted an interview with you as the CEO of KLE? What was your reaction?
My reaction was, what do I do now? You know, she comforted me and explained that, you know, you just go and do the interview. She says, nothing to worry about. It's all stuff you know. Owen's show is about business, strictly business. So you're in good shape. So but you know, this is her thing. I try and shy away from the.
Yeah. So you leverage each of you leverage the skills of the other, right?
Without a doubt. Sure.
And it works.
It works beautifully,
folks. Great business model. You're learning about that on Strictly Business. Now, Gary, tell us about your other directors, the young persons who approached you for the business venture, which you bought into, and it's to all intents and purposes working. Tell us about them.
The group that was formed in 2008, Kingston Live Entertainment Group. Tina and I were actually invited into the group as an investor, to participate in the investment of the nightclub, and we looked at it, and it seemed to be progressive. Shortly thereafter, we joined forces with the group and formed the KLE group. A couple months after, Fiction was born, and the rest is history. But the group is extremely diverse. I call the KLE group an idea factory. Mm-hmm. The creativity and the innovation is just, I mean, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. And the biggest challenge is really to determine what do you do from not do, and then certainly once we identify the opportunities that are aligned with our strategy, we then it's a matter of executing it, which is, I think, where I come in.
No, one of the key issues of going public is transparency. How do you make that transition from being a closely knit private company into one that has to divulge certain things, your financials, who your directors are, and so on? How philosophically, how are you grappling with that?
To be perfectly honest, it's not that big an issue for us, and the reason is when we formed the company initially, we decided as a group that we wanted to set it up as a professional organization. It wasn't a friend thing. It was about establishing a business that we could, you know, grow and flourish. And we knew that we were going into it with tough times, and we needed to be sharp. So, you know, ultimately, we maintain a six member board, and we started to conduct business as if we were a publicly traded company from the onset. So the transition is not a big shock to our system. We have since invited 3 new members to the board, which that transition is in process, but in preparation for all of our upcoming activities and stuff like that, and the growth that we project to execute over the course of the next few years. You know, the short to middle term growth is going to require all hands on deck and some real solid business experience. So we've opted to bring in some.
So you'll have a 9-member board.
It'll actually be a 10-member board, because when Usain joined the group in 2009, we gave them a seat as well.
Now, Gary, we're discussing the issue of corporate governance. A 10-member board of independent thinkers indicates to me that you're going to be strong on corporate governance.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you know, inviting the public to come in and participate in the company, we need to ensure that we as well as the regulations for the JSE regulations are clear. You need to, and we're happy for that, and we have no issue with it at all.
Thank you for coming on board, Gary.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for today, folks. Strictly business, and of course, my guest was Gary Matalon, the CEO of KLE, a growing entertainment business, and one we'll see pretty soon on the junior market. When we talk on this program, it's strictly business. I'm OwenJames. To give feedback on this program, do email us at allmedia6@cwjamaica.com.
OwenJames' Strictly Business was brought to you by Sagicor, Wise Financial Thinking for Life, and Jampro, working for Jamaica, working for you. Jamaica's investment promotions agency, Jampro, means business. Jampro's mission is to promote brand Jamaica, attract and facilitate wealth-creating investments to Jamaica, and secure lucrative markets for quality brand Jamaica products. Jampro, working for Jamaica, working for you.
Promise?
There is a place
I promise.
where promises are always kept. At Sagicor,
Pinky promise.
we provide financial security
I did it.
for you and your loved ones.
Yes!
By maintaining your Sagicor policy, you can keep those promises,
Blessed.
no matter what life throws your way.
We're covered with Sagicor for life.
Are you covered?